A century ago, the medical community noticed that there was a stark increase in cancer diagnosis. And it seems like that increase and the incline is getting steeper all the time. Chances are, if you're not related to somebody who has cancer, you know somebody who has cancer. The crazy thing is that the approach to cancer treatments hasn't changed all that much in the last century. How would the cancer landscape change if there was a treatment that was natural, non-invasive, non-painful, reduced pain and suffering, and also shrunk the tumor? It sounds a little like snake oil, right? Well, a century ago, somebody made such a claim. The story starts with a Canadian nurse named Reen Case. She says that one day she noticed one of her patients had a lot of scar tissue on one of her breasts, and she asked the patient about this. The patient said that 30 years before, she had been diagnosed with a terminal form of breast cancer, and the doctor said if she didn't have her breast removed, she would die. This woman, this patient, said she had a friend who had also been diagnosed with breast cancer. She went under the knife to have her breast removed, and she did not survive the surgery. So it seems from this patient's story that she must have sought out a second opinion, because a native medicine man told her that indeed she did have breast cancer, but he said he could cure it. He pointed out several plants in the area and told her how to make a tea out of them. At this time, the patient, was 80 years old. She said in the last 30 years, the cancer had never returned and she was cancer-free. Reen determined at that moment if she were ever diagnosed with cancer, rather than go under the knife or pursue any of the other standard treatments at the time, she would try this herbal remedy. As it turns out, Reen never was diagnosed with cancer. However, a few years later, her favorite aunt was diagnosed with a terminal form of cancer. The doctors said they had done everything they could for her, and they gave her up as incurable. Reen approached her aunt's doctor and asked if perhaps she might be able to administer this herbal treatment to her aunt, and the doctor said, sure. So she did. She took the aunt into her home, and who do you think was more surprised when 2 months later, the aunt was doing so well, she returned home to her family? The doctor who'd sent Reen, this terminal patient, her aunt, started sending more terminal patients who they had diagnosed as incurable. And pretty soon, other doctors in the area were also sending Reen their incurable cancer patients. This is the beginning of the Reen Case story, or saga, I should say, and her Essiac formula. The saga still continues. There's many books written about Reen Case and the Essiac formula. I find the story fascinating. There's so many books out there, it's a little difficult to choose one book to read. I decided that I really wanted a book that had an unbiased perspective and maybe from a bird's eye view that was able to connect the dots, all the moving pieces, and fit them together. And this is what I found. I decided to read Clinic of Hope by Donna Ivey. I think she does a really good job at piecing together all of the crazy things that are the Essiac story. It could be easily made into a major motion picture. I have a lot of thoughts on the Essiac formula, on Reen Case, and why the story is still ongoing. If you're interested in learning more, head on over to my website, it'sinnernature.com, and read the blog post, Clinic of Hope. I hope to see you there.